Hey guys, it's Elle. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I am really excited because I'm doing a rec video and talking about some Why Choose romances. So lately, I have been reading a ton of Why Choose romances and I've been really loving them. So I knew I wanted to do a video and chat about some of them. I honestly thought I had read more Why Choose romances. I have about 5 books/series I'm going to chat about, and then I'll chat about some romances that I want to read that are on my TBR and are on my radar. So the first book I have is The Five Brothers by Penelope Douglas. This is her newest release, and I really enjoyed this one. So our heroine, she is kind of friends with this whole family of guys because their sister she's friends with, and especially her significant other. And so this is kind of like the type of romance of like wrong side of the tracks. Like the heroes are a part of kind of the lower income part of town, lower economic status, and she comes from a very wealthy and rich family, but she has to take care of her siblings because her parents are not doing that. So she kind of starts hanging out around the heroes more and more. This is a very character-driven Why Choose romance. And she kind of had a fling with one of the brothers, but doesn't really feel totally attracted to him anymore. And so one night when she is hanging out at their house, she has a moment with one of the brothers, but she doesn't know who it is. And so that kind of starts off the story, and she needs to find work, and the heroes kind of run that side of town, like kind of like almost like a mafia type thing, but they're not a part of the mafia. So it's very interesting. Like they just like run the town, and one of the guys, he just really does not like her. He's a mechanic. He just finds her super annoying, and she's trying to figure out who the guy is that she had sex with, and she's trying to figure that out while also kind of forming relationships with all of the guys. And it's super spicy. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this one. And I liked how we didn't know who it was that she had slept with, and so we were trying to like figure it out with her, and that was kind of interesting. And there's like, it's kind of like classic Penelope Douglas when she first started out of like Bully, like there's car racing, and like it just felt very character driven in the way that she wrote some of her first books, and I really enjoyed that aspect. I love the connection she formed with all of the heroes. One of them is a single dad, and the oldest hero, he is the grumpy one, and I just remember really enjoying this. And it just had a lot of really good spicy Why Choose scenes. And I forgot to say this at the beginning. If you don't know what Why Choose romances are, it used to be called reverse harem, but we kind of switched to Why Choose because it was, I don't really know why we switched to it, but I kind of like it better. So a Why Choose romance is usually where there is a heroine and there's 4 or 5 guys. And the difference between a Why Choose and a polyamorous romance is, or like an MMF or MFM romance, is where it's usually the heroine and one of the guys have a relationship, and she has a relationship with each of the guys, but it's separate, and they don't all have relationships with each other, if that makes sense. So there are some exceptions, which I'll mention in this rec video, of some instances where some of the guys will have like relationships with the other guys and all of that stuff, but that's kind of like the difference of a Why Choose and a polyamorous relationship. So if you have like any questions, feel free to message me on Instagram. I would love to have a conversation with you if you're confused, or if you've never tried a Why Choose romance, definitely, I would try it once. I know some people really don't love Why Choose romances because they feel like it's hard to form a connection with so many guys, which I understand, but also you're not reading the right Why Choose romance, because the ones that I'm going to recommend today, I really feel like they develop a good relationship with each of the heroes. So, and they end up being with the heroes like all of them end up being in a relationship at the end, except Five Brothers. She does pick one person. So just a little nugget of information. But the next romance is probably one of my favorites on this list, and it's a new release, a new to me author, which is Alexis Grace, and that is Killer of Mine. And this one is so fantastic. The heroine, she is the daughter of a serial killer, and all of the heroes are FBI agents, and she is like an FBI agent in training. And so she is trying to get on the case of her father to like figure out where he is. And they're kind of getting very suspicious of her and are like, why are you trying to get yourself on this case? And things start heating up between the characters because they find out, you know, who she is. And it's so good. It's really intriguing. And I just love the setup of this. If you like the Mind F series by S.T. Abby, that is like this one, but White Shoes. So I really loved how like emotional these relationships were because she has to deal with a lot of trauma of her dad that he inflicted on her. So this series is so good, and the second book just came out, so I definitely need to read that. But I'm really enjoying this one, and it's a great FBI Why Choose romantic suspense. And I also love that we get to see like the different heroes. They just have different characteristics, and there's the one that's kind of rejecting the relationship, and then one who's like completely down bad and obsessed with the heroine. So I just love like the differences in these relationships that the heroine is having with these heroes. And this one kind of leaves off on a cliffhanger and makes you want to dive into the next book. So I really enjoyed this one. The next one I want to mention is the Boys of Belrose series. This is by Tate James and someone else, I can't remember, but this one's really fun and intriguing. So the heroine, she is actually on the run from her ex who is in the mafia, and she kind of runs into this nightclub and sees her other ex who has become a really famous rock star and in a band, and she's like, I need help, like I need you to help me get away from this guy. And he's kind of like, no, like they have a very hate to love relationship. And one of the guys in the band is kind of like, we got to help her. So they end up inviting her on tour. And she kind of starts first forming a relationship with the guy who was like, you should stay and we can help you. And so she starts forming a connection with him. But then she kind of starts reacquainting herself with her other ex, who it's kind of like a second chance romance between them, hate to love, really angsty. And then there's another guy in the band who kind of just is kind of like, like I don't really want anything to do with her, but then stuff happens and he kind of like opens up to her and they start forming a relationship. So this one is really fun. It's a wild ride because she's on the run basically from her ex who's in the mafia, and they're trying to protect her. And it's really, really fun. I really like this one. I read the first book in this series, and I do really need to continue with it because I remember loving it. And the first book leaves off on a cliffhanger. So I definitely want to get back to this series. It was a lot of fun. I love the angst and mess of the one hero because he was really hurt by their breakup, and I just love those like messy, angsty romances. So this one is so good, and I think I listened to the audiobook of it and really enjoyed it. Okay, so the next three I have is a series that is by Tessa Hale, and it is the, what is it called? Dragons of Ember Hollow series by her. This series is so fantastic. I absolutely adore it. So the first book I think is Twilight of Embers. And this one we follow our heroine who, she is a dragon shifter, but she doesn't know that she's a dragon shifter. So her parents were murdered when she was really young, and she never really knew why that happened. So flash forward to the present time, and she is going to college. It's her first day on campus, and she meets one of the heroes, and he is instantly like, I smell you, like you're one of us. And she's like, what do you mean? And he's like, I'm a dragon shifter and you are too. So he has a whole like brood / coven of brothers that are all dragon shifters. They all go to the school are kind of related in the area. And so they realize that they found their mate, but they can't really tell her that. And so she kind of has to figure it out on her own. And then we're also trying to figure out like what happened to her parents. There's a lot of suspense elements and paranormal elements in this one that I really, really enjoyed. And so some of the heroes that we get, one of them is a professor at the university. So we have that kind of forbidden taboo aspect. One of them, the guy that she meets on her first day, is kind of like the golden boy. He's like the quarterback of the university. One of them is like a billionaire. One of them is rejecting the fated mate bond. And this series is just so much fun. It's a wild ride. Each of them are pretty short. And it's just like fantastic. It's a fantastic series. I listened to these all on audio, and all of the audiobooks are Chef's Kiss. And we have some really great narrators for the heroes. Like we have Jacob Morgan, Sebastian York, Connor Craze, and Jason Clark, I think. And I don't remember who narrates the heroine, but the series is just fantastic on audio. It's a lot of fun. It's very fast-paced, so you can fly through these books, and I love them so much. And she's actually releasing another series that I think is going to be like werewolves why choose, and I'm really, really excited for. And the last one I want to recommend is the Boys of South Chapel series by Abby Millsaps. This is a very angsty, messy why choose romance series. So the heroine, we kind of flip between the past and present, where in the past she was dating the hero and they kind of had a messy breakup. And now it is years later and they're going to the same school, and he has actually became her stepbrother. And she kind of had to push him away for reasons that we don't really know until we get deeper into the book. But one of their friends ends up getting injured, and he, I think, is a football player. And so she ends up fake dating with him because he, I think, is bisexual, and his mom like wants him to date someone. So they agree, and so they kind of start fake dating, and she kind of starts catching feelings for that hero. But then the other hero, we have this second chance angsty romance with him. And this series is just very character driven, but their romances are so dramatic and angsty and messy that you're just like addicted to it. Like I'm already on book 2. This whole series is on Hoopla. So I've been listening to the audios there, and the audiobooks are really fantastic. And I just love how like messy and angsty these books are. I mean, the heroine definitely does not make some good decisions when it comes to, especially the hero Greedy, who he is the one that she's having a second chance romance with. She has really hurt him, and we're kind of seeing in the second book her try to fix those things and alleviate some of that pain that she caused. And then in the second book, we are also introduced to a new hero that she met when she was abroad in England. So that's really fun, and I'm really enjoying the series. They're pretty short, so I'm flying through them, and I'm really, really enjoying them. Okay, so now on to some why choose romances that I really want to read, hopefully soon. One of them is Pucking Around, I think is what it's called, by Emily Raff. This one is a hockey romance, and it is like 600 pages, but I've heard people absolutely loving it. Really loving the characters, and I don't really know what the heroine does, but I know that the heroes are all hockey players. So that one sounds really, really good, and I definitely want to continue on with the Boys of South Chapel series by Abby Millsaps. And then there's that new series by Tessa Hale that's coming out called, I think it's called Crescent Kingdom. So I'm really excited for that one. And then I also put down the Bonded by Thorn series. This one is super interesting. It is actually a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but why choose? Where the heroine, her father is deemed insane, crazy in this small town, in this like fantasy world, and she ends up going obviously to the palace to kind of find her father. I think he's like in prison there, like the story goes, and she ends up kind of being there and staying there with 4 other lords. I don't know if they're like actual monsters, but she gets down and dirty with them, and I've heard it's really, really good. So I really want to get to that one. But yeah, so those are just kind of the ones that are on my radar. But if you read Why I Choose Romances and you love them, definitely let me know your recommendations, because I would love to know. And I definitely want to read some more Why I Choose Romances as I'm getting deeper into the subgenre. I'm just really enjoying them. They're a lot of fun. I have definitely read my bad share of Why I Choose Romances where it just felt like every guy is the same. But I really love these romances because it just feels like each romance is very unique with the different heroes. So yeah, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and leave me down below the like werewolf emoji for Crescent Kingdom. I haven't been doing emojis for a while and I want to bring them back, but thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.